Hi, welcome to the Nitty Gritty podcast here with the Tom J. Krieger team. On this episode, we are talking about new build homes. Okay, welcome everybody to episode 26 of the Nitty Gritty Real Estate Podcast with the Tom J. Krieger team. I have Tom Krieger here and myself, Matt Barré. We are talking about new build homes. We are seeing them pop up everywhere. And I wanted to dig into, if you're thinking about buying a new build, what to be aware of, what we're seeing as agents with regards to new builds, and just get into the nitty gritty of new builds. So, Tom, you've been in this long enough that you've seen new builds become old builds and you're seeing more new builds being built.
Yep.
What are your thoughts and your takes on the homes that we're seeing built right now? What are some of the pitfalls or things that you are in with your experience keeping your eyes wide open and looking at when working with buyers and new builds?
Yeah. So, Matt, thanks a lot. I appreciate all the nice things you said about me. It's really a nice way to just say you're old. So I appreciate that. So, Matt, one of the things that's really starting to be of a concern to me is the greed that's out there. The greed of the builders and the greed of people. All right. And this is the kind of stuff that hurt us in 2006, 7, and 8. The greed of everybody. Now, I want to preface this, I don't believe we're going to see any type of a drop like we saw that because the underlying conditions are totally different. But greed is greed. It's one of those deadly sins that we have. We're starting to see homeowners walk into a new build site where they think that the builder is working for them, the site agent is working for them, and unfortunately they're not. So what's happening is that people are going in there unrepresented. It's kind of like going through a divorce and you use the same attorney. It doesn't always work out for the best for both sides, okay? Yeah. So I try and express to people that I'm working with that if you want to build new construction, you should go in with somebody representing you. What we're now seeing is builders not willing to pay the real estate buyer side like they were in the past. So they're forcing that cost onto the buyer. Okay? They're trying to force the buyer to say, I don't want to pay a real estate agent's fees. I'll go in there without a real estate agent. That's when they end up really paying a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've seen that myself the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
There's a reputable home builder here in Tucson who I remember only 3 years ago looking at homes with that same builder with clients, and it was, hey, we'll pay you 3%, we'll give you $1,000 bonus commission if they buy and work with. Now this builder last week put out a notice saying, unfortunately, due to the higher demands and we're trying to keep our costs low for the client, we're no longer paying realtors. You can represent them, but if you wish to represent them, you have to be paid by your buyer. So the buyer's paying overvalue on a house, a new build, and now has to pay me to represent them. Well, clearly, like you said, they're just going to go right to the builder, right?
How are they saving the buyer money?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're not.
No,
okay.
They're absolutely not.
It's unfortunately, it's the greed aspect. And here's what's happened in the market, Matt, and a lot of people don't understand this. Lumber prices, construction prices, labor prices are all going up, right? And they're going up at phenomenal rates.
Like $98 for a sheet of plywood.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's insane.
So we start looking at, okay, what does this really mean when we dig into the nitty gritty of all of this? We're starting to see houses not appraised, new construction's not appraised, right? So what are the builders doing? Well, if we don't have to pay the agent, okay, to represent the buyer, then we can save that amount of money and apply it to extra costs, right? But we're still seeing prices going up too high, they're not appraising. What else can we do? Well, how about if we limit the amount of upgrades so they don't over-upgrade the property, and instead we take that amount of limitation on upgrades, instead of allowing them to do 70 or 80,000, we bring them to a limit of 30,000, and then we can raise the price of the land. Because when a builder builds, they're only making a certain percentage profit on the upgrades, right? Because they still got to pay for the upgrades.
Yeah.
The land, though, they own 100%.
Yep.
So all of that increase is profit in the builder's pockets. Now, I am not against capitalism, okay? I don't want anybody to think that I am. The builders have a right to make as much money as they want to, right? They absolutely do. They're being smart. Those bean counters in the building industry are being smart and saying, look, let's not price ourselves out of the market. Let's try and grab more profit in this arena, but still let's allow the buyers to be represented. We're just not going to pay for the representation.
Yeah.
So be very careful on that when you're working in new construction. If you're going into a site where there's a site agent, that agent represents the builder and the builder's best interest. They'll be nice to you. They'll be polite to you. They'll play fair legally. But when the rubber meets the road, they're working for the builder. So please think twice before you go into a site agent about being represented. Okay?
Yeah. I've seen in the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've written a contract for a new build. We've been in a bidding war to get the lot, not even just to get that, just to get the dirt.
Yep.
It's a bidding war. So I think what we've seen is, these builders have realized there is pent up demand.
Yes.
And they're like, how can we capitalize on this?
Yep.
So they only release 1 or 2 lots every couple of weeks. There's more and more people going every weekend and writing their name down on this list of, hey, let us know when lot 1, 2, 3 gets released. They've now got 20 to 30 people that want lot 1, 2, 3. And they're like, hey, bingo, we're releasing this lot on Saturday. And you have now from Saturday at noon until Sunday at 8 to bid on this dirt. But the builder also isn't, hey, just let's give us a price of what you're willing to pay for the dirt. We want you to put down the price you're willing to pay for the dirt, the house that you're going to put on it, and we now also want to know how much are you going to spend in upgrades. And they're looking at the overall number. My question to the builder was, when this was told to me, is like, well, great. I'll just put my clients are going to spend $300,000 in upgrades. And when the rubber meets the road, they're probably going to spend about 30, but I've already won, right? There was no answer to that. I was like, how do you stop people doing that? And it was just
greed. That's all it is, Matt. It's greed.
We don't have any control of actually how much they truly spend in upgrades.
Yeah.
But the lot prices are just going up and up and up. And
which is all profit to the builder.
But as you mentioned, the higher you spend on the lot to win the lot to get the house, they then come back at the contract phase and say, well, you spent $70,000 on your lot. The house is worth $450,000. So now we're at X price. Oh, by the way, you've only now got $30,000 to $40,000 you can spend in upgrades because you've spent $20,000, $30,000 more on the dirt.
Yeah.
And the clients are like, well, we wanted the tub. We wanted the fireplace. Well, you can't have that, but you got the dirt.
Yeah.
It's driving people insane, and there's no control over this.
So some of the wild projections out there are now that the builders are just going to put a base model on and you bid on the lot. And that's all. You got to buy the house the way it sits.
Done that too.
You look at the model, and it has 12-inch tile, and it has Formica countertops, and it's worth $400,000 the way it sits. Now you can bid on the land and drive that price up. Remember what I said is that the profit is in the land because it's already been paid for at a massive discount before they start developing it. So that's where their profit is.
Yeah.
So people who are buying new construction, and I don't mean to say don't buy new construction, just go with a real estate agent who understands what's happening in the new build process. And also remember that those contracts that the builders give you, you have the right to put an addendum in. If you don't like something in there, you can create an addendum to pull it out.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
I'm working with one right now where the builder wants a certain amount of days to start construction. If they don't, and the cost of materials go up after that 60 days and they haven't started a construction, they can pass that cost on to the buyer.
Yeah.
Right? So what we're negotiating on that is going from 60 days to 120 days. So it gives a longer time for the buyer to not have to pay the increase in profits, and it forces the builder to stay within a construction time so that they buy the lumber and all the materials sooner before the prices go up. If I've got a window where I can just pass my prices on to you, I'm not in that big a hurry to start the construction, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of in depth, but when you're working with a qualified real estate agent, they can sit down and explain that to you that, we need to not accept this 30-day or 60-day build time to start construction. We want to spread it out before they can pass these costs on to us. And that's another thing. A lot of builders right now, agents are adding these addendums themselves in that says, between now and when I dig, if lumber prices go up, if labor costs go up, we get to raise the base price up to $10,000. Mm-hmm. Some of them don't even have a dollar value. They've got a percentage value of like 20%. Mm-hmm. Well, think about that. If you've got a $500,000 house, 20% is $100,000. You're now paying, instead of $500,000 for your house, you're paying $600,000. Oh, and if you walk away from the deal, you leave your non-refundable earnest money up front.
And we get to sell the house and still make more money.
And we get to sell the house and still make more money.
Yeah. And builders' timelines. I have a new construction going on with a client now. Their timeline has been pushed back again and again and again, to the point where, the original, hey, we can have this house built in 6 to 7 months has now become 9 to 10 to 12 months.
Yep.
That, they put down COVID and stuff like that. And I agree, last year there were crews who were testing positive and they would shut the site down. It's almost to the point now where they have oversold the development massively. They've only got a certain amount of skilled laborers who can build these houses, and it's almost a case of, we've sold 150 lots, but we only have enough crews to build 2 to 3, 4 homes at a time. So if you're lot 100, you are way down the road, versus throttling the sale of the dirt, not necessarily having to put in a bidding war, but throttling the sale and saying, we're only selling 10 lots. And once those 10 are sold, then we'll sell the next. But they weren't. They were greedy, and they were just like, boom, open doors, people. Buy the dirt, we'll figure it out. Yeah. And it happened.
That's kind of the shadows of 2006, 7, and 8, where people were coming in from out of state buying 10 lots. Mm-hmm. And then before the house was finished, they were selling them all and making profit and never having any exposure.
Yeah.
Greed has a tendency to pop up in many different areas when you have a market like we have right now. Quality real estate agents who have experienced this, who understand the protection of their buyers, will prevent you from getting sucked into that greed by the builders. Hey everyone, we want to interrupt this episode to let you know that we are a Keller Williams Southern Arizona franchise.
Also, we are licensed realtors practicing equal housing.
Now, let's get you back to the podcast.
So we want to make it clear, we are not against new builds. They are
absolutely
fantastic.
Not. We need them. They help the economy.
Exactly. We need them. I find it very enjoyable building a new build, picking that piece of dirt and going through the whole process. I like to get involved with my clients from the planning process to the design center and holding their hand and being with them all every step of the way. So new builds are great, and you can get a fantastic home for a great price that is energy efficient and green efficient these days, which therefore would save you save you money in utilities and stuff. All we're saying is be smart and use a licensed professional realtor, not necessarily the sales agent in the office, because again, like you said, they're not working for you. They're contracted and employed by the builder to write contracts on behalf of the builder, not on the behalf of the buyer.
Yep. All builders are not built the same way.
No, that is very true.
And sometimes, builders do a great job at a great price, and we do not want to disparage anybody who is thinking about building. Please go look at new construction. It's a great buy.
Just take us with you.
Just have somebody represent you. Yeah. That's the most important thing. Somebody who's seasoned in it. Remember, you want somebody fighting for you in the battle, in the arena of saving money.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Tom, great insight. Again, if anybody has any questions with regards to new build homes, either whether it's here in Tucson, whether it's across the nation, this isn't just a Tucson thing.
Right.
New builds are happening all across the country. So if you're thinking about, selling, or if you're a first-time home buyer thinking about a new build, please reach out to us. We can connect you with over 4,000 agents across the nation in your home cities. So please let us know. And until next time, stay safe.
Thanks, man.
Hey, thank you for listening and watching the Nitty Gritty podcast here with the Tom J. Krieger team. If you are thinking about buying a home, selling a home, or even investing in real estate, please reach out to us. We are local here in Tucson, Arizona, but we are also connected to over 4,000 agents across the US. So again, looking to buy, sell, or invest in your hometown, reach out to us and let us connect you.